Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please stand for our song today, this intro song, Morning Has Broken. And now, greet your neighbors. Okay, as we take our seats, please silence your phones if you have your cell phone on, so it will not disturb our gathering. Again, hello, hello. I'm Jack Porter, a member of Unity of the Hill Country, and your board treasurer. I'm honored to welcome you to Unity of the Hill Country, where we offer a positive path to spiritual living. And let us give a warm welcome to our week's guest, Dr. Will and Madeline Tuttle. All right, please join me in our opening prayer. As we join together in heart, in mind, to celebrate the presence of the divine, we feel the peace and we find the joy of the universe filling our hearts with and heal levels of mind and body and spirit. Woo! Had to get through that one. The Christ candle is lit, reminds us of the Spirit, the presence in everybody here in the room. May the flame remind us that Christ's light lives within us, among us, and now and for always. Please speak with us together the statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, one, the good and the omnipotent. Please, let's speak our mission statement and vision statement together. We live consciously celebrating the divine potential in all, in the world of universal peace, love, and abundance, our oneness is revealed. Affirmation prayer is essential in the unity movement. You don't have to carry your burden alone. Whatever your need is, healing, guidance, peace of mind, and gratitude, we will pray with you. Excuse me, this is our brand new script, so I'm kind of going along here, winging it. As a written prayer request are sent to our 24/7 prayer vigil in the Unity Village, you can call the number on the screen. There we go. And they will, anytime during the day or night, and someone will pray with you. Or you can confidentially submit the prayers online. b.unity.org, where you're never alone in prayer. Now we turn our attention to our sacred prayer chest. If you need for us, let's see, if you need for which you would like the prayer support, you can fill out a prayer request. They're in the back of your seats. And you can put it in the prayer chest at any time. Each name and the request placed within is held in the light of divine love and infinite wisdom. We affirm the perfect healing, guidance, peace, and joy are always at work in each life. Please join us together now as we're holding those names in our screen, on the screen. Do we have that? Oh, we don't have that. Okay. So let us just consider all the people's names that's in this box, in our prayer box, and just send love, light, and peace. Let's take just about 3 or 4 seconds to just think about who's here in that box. And so it is, amen. Our daily word today has been given the Worldwide Unity Movement daily prayer since 1924. We join millions of other daily word readers throughout the world. Copies of the daily words are now available in the lobby for each one of you, so please take one. That's something new. Okay, we have already got a subscription for each of you. So you take one, and if you have one already, well, now you have 2. Okay. Carolyn Bailey is going to do the daily word today. Come on, Carolyn.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. It is a pleasure to be here with you today as we read the daily word. Palm Sunday, I honor the divine presence within. On Palm Sunday, Jesus made his triumphant entry into Jerusalem riding a donkey coat, symbolizing dominion of spirit over human nature. Today I find inspiration in the timeless Bible story. Going forward, I commit myself to mastering my impulses and judgment and continually surrendering my imperfections to the Christ within. My commitment in regularly going to the upper chamber of my consciousness smooths the rough edges of my mind and opens my heart to perfect love and purity. By following Jesus' example, I proceed with courage and confidence along the path of fulfillment and transcendence. And our scripture for the day is, I have come as light into the world, so that everyone who believes in me should not remain in darkness. That is in John 12:46. Could you repeat our affirmation for the day? On Palm Sunday, I honor the divine presence within. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, I would like to introduce Dr. Tuttle, and I'm going to give him a little bio first before he comes up and gives our presentation today. So, Dr. Tuttle is a composer, pianist, educator, author of the best-selling book, The World Peace Diet, published in 18 different languages across the world. Devoted to providing uplifting and healing original music and to help people awaken to their inner wisdom and genius. PhD in education from the University of California at Berkeley. That's where my son goes. He lives there in Berkeley. Focusing on the education institution. Taught college courses in philosophy, humanities, mythology, creativity, and comparative religion. Former Zen monk, Dharma master in the Korean Zen tradition. Currently conducting music, art, education ministries with his wife, Madeline. A visionary artist from Switzerland. So welcome. Madeline specializes in painting that celebrates the beauty of animals and nature. She also is a flutist. Is that right? Yes. And a Waldorf teacher, traveling and providing lectures, concerts, workshops throughout North America and worldwide, inspiring art, prints, cards, books, as well as recordings of original music, piano music. So let's all welcome Dr. Will Tuttle.
Okay, thank you so much, Jack. Thank you. And I'd like to begin with our meditation time. So invite everyone to please get comfortable in your seats as we go into our meditation. And then we'll go into our presentation for the morning. So let's all become aware of our breathing as we begin our time of meditation together. So with every exhalation now, we just allow ourselves to let go of any thoughts of the past or the future and enter more deeply into this present moment. The only holy moment is right now. So as we enter together the sacred holy moment of this time we have together this morning on this beautiful day, we give thanks that we can gather here in this outer sanctuary with all the beauty and love here. And we know that this outer sanctuary is a manifestation of the inner sanctuary where we always live in unity with the infinite love that is the source of our life and the source of all life. So we give thanks for everyone who helps make this outer sanctuary possible. And we give thanks for all of the teachers in our life. Everyone who has entered into our life directly or indirectly to help us to awaken out of delusion. And we give thanks also for all of the teachings of all the wisdom traditions that turn our mind away from the deception of separateness to the truth of the infinite interconnectedness of all life. That what we are is infinite spirit that was never born and will never die. And we give thanks also for this community and for all of our loved ones and for this beautiful earth and all of the beings celebrating their lives here. All of the animals in the sky and in the water and in the land. All the deer we see everywhere here. And we give thanks for the whole human family on our great adventure together of awakening out of materialism to the spiritual reality of being, peace and harmony, kindness and compassion, truth and wisdom and freedom and beauty. The great beauty that is all around us and within us. And we give thanks knowing that the light that shines at the heart of the universe is shining right now in our heart, in every cell of our being, bringing every dimension of our life into alignment with the truth that we are, with the purpose that we are here to fulfill in this lifetime. And so we take a moment now and just allow the music to deepen our connection with the truth that we are. And together we take a moment now to enter into the silence, the pure potential that holds all possibilities of freedom and joy and awakening to the truth that we are. And so now together we savor this precious moment in our lifetime, abiding in the awareness of divine love, in the awareness of the kindness, joy and freedom, creativity, in community, knowing that we are part of the awakening of humanity during this time. of great challenge. May all beings be free and at peace. May all beings be happy. And may we realize the original brightness of our minds, of our hearts. And may we continue together to build a more enlightened society, a world that cares for everyone, a world that reflects the Christ, truth, shining always in our hearts, in our minds, in all of our actions. We give thanks knowing this is so, for the power and presence of the infinite and eternal divine love. We give thanks knowing this is so, and so it is. Thank you all for joining together in the meditation time this morning. I'd like to, before I go into the talk, just play a piece of music. And this will be a piece called Dance for the Arctic Moon. I compose all the music that I play. And this one is one that's dedicated to, I think, something that's important in the unity movement and really worldwide spirituality, which is the sacred feminine dimension of consciousness, which is in all of us. It's the capacity to be receptive to the higher wisdom that is our true nature, this capacity. We'll be talking about this also in our workshop. So this is called Dance for the Arctic Moon. The north of the four directions in traditional traditions is indicative of the power of going within. And the moon represents cross-culturally the feminine aspect. So this is Dance for the Arctic Moon. I'd like to just dedicate the music to the healing of all of our relations and creating a field of consciousness, which is really what music is all about, creating a field of consciousness of peace on planet Earth. So enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. And yeah, so today is Palm Sunday, and I think this is one of the, in many ways, most significant celebrations and spiritual hallmarks in Christianity. It's right before the resurrection, which really represents the awakening that we can all experience spiritually. And the Palm Sunday is leading up to that, and it's a lot of it's about letting go, but it's really about connecting with our inner guidance system. And one of the things that Madeline and I really love, because we travel a lot to Unity, is the underlying message in Unity, which is that each one of us can connect with our own inner guidance system. We don't have to depend on an outside force, outside like an establishment, authoritarian, somebody else out there to tell us what to do and how to connect. Charles Fillmore is kind of well known for saying that each one of us should go straight to headquarters. And that saying to me always makes me smile, because I think, well, that's easy for him. He could just go to Myrtle and say, what should I do? But for the rest of it, I can do the same thing. I can say, Madeline, no, but the underlying idea is that each one of us can cultivate a capacity to connect with an inner guidance system. I call it our intuition. And this is a spiritual capacity that's inherent within us. It's so important that we develop this. And I think when we do, we begin to connect with the inner joy that is our true nature. So one of the things that I always like to remember at the beginning of a service also is that we're part of a much larger movement. Unity has been going for a long time, and it's all over the United States and many other countries as well. And I think it's one of the healthiest movements on planet Earth, because it's really based on this idea of radical inclusion, that everyone is welcome here, but also we take and we understand and we appreciate the teachings of Jesus and our tradition, Christian tradition, but also of the world religious traditions. And so I think this is a very healthy kind of openness that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore had. And so it's kind of propelled us, Madeline and me, to travel. I think at this point, probably, I'm sure actually, we've gone to more Unity churches than any human in history. That's what we've been doing for nearly 40 years. In fact, the last time we were here, I don't know if some of you were here. I guess it was when the Unity of the Hill Country was on Lois Street in 1998. So was anybody here then? Some of you? Yeah. Oh, good. Wow, great. A few. Yeah. Jack. And it was funny. I was wondering, when was the last time we were here? So I looked it up in our little list of the schedule we have, and it was December of 1998. And it was interesting because about maybe a month or so later, we were on our tour. We lived in an RV for 17 years with no home, just every Sunday going to Unity Church and presenting music and talk and so forth, and workshop and a concert. But I remember maybe 6 weeks later, we were at Unity in Santa Barbara. And the ministers there at that time in 1998 were, does anyone know? Yes, Eddie and Patty Edwards, yeah. And it was really great to. They were very great, really good. I remember his talk. Still, all these years later, 26 years later, whatever it is, 28 years later. So Unity has been a real, I think, and still is a tremendously positive influence in our world. And I think a lot of it has to do with this idea that it focuses on a metaphysical interpretation of the scriptures, not just taking everything literally, but going deeper through prayer and meditation to understand what's really being pointed at. How many of you have a regular spiritual practice you do on a daily basis? Some of you, yeah, good. I really recommend it. Having a regular practice allows our being to quiet down the mind, to connect with our inner wisdom, I think, more fully, because all of us are bombarded with a lot of baloney, right? There's a great saying, I think, by Krishnamurti. He said, it's not a good idea to be very well adjusted to a profoundly sick society, right? So, this basic idea, like, we all want to be well adjusted. We want to get along with everybody and so forth. But then we kind of look, well, do I really want to be well adjusted to all this? So the whole idea, I think, is to be well adjusted to the profound spiritual teachings of Jesus and the great teachers, right? To try to understand how they lived, how they saw things, and to connect with that. And that's what we can do. We can, each one of us, make an effort in that direction. And when we do that, we begin to bless the world naturally. We begin to see the most important thing, I think, really underlying teaching is that we're not this physical body. That's a big one, right? We think this is what we are. This is me. I look in the mirror. Oh yeah, that's me. Yep. And there's a nice image, I think, from the Buddhist tradition. One of them was the wheel, the tree. One was a footprint. And I think the footprint is an interesting one, because if you go to the beach and you see a footprint and you look at the footprint, and you don't say to the footprint, "Good morning, Joseph, how are you today?" Right? The footprint is not the being that made the footprint. So remember, this is a footprint waving. We see footprints. We don't see the being. We see an effect. What we are is non-corporeal. We're not a physical body, but we're raised in a society that just hammers it into us from day one that this is what we are. It's our body, our name, our collection, all of our opinions, all of our experiences, all our likes and dislikes, this whole collection. And we identify with that. And so we lose sight of the deeper reality. And when we're all in that delusion of being a separate self, then we're sort of competing with each other for a limited amount of money and affection and attention and all these different things, or using each other to get things. And it creates a lot of suffering. So the way out of this, Jesus said, I think all the great teachers, is to question that and to realize that what we are is the light that shines through us. What we are is the same in all of us. There's one light through us all. My old Zen teacher used to say, it's kind of like a bunch of pumpkins in a field, and they're all looking at each other, and they're all kind of arguing about which one has the nicest color and which one has the nicest shape and so forth. And there's this wise old owl up in the tree, and they say, "Oh, owl up there in the tree, you can see all of us. Tell us which one is the really nicest one with the nicest color and the nicest shape." And he looks down and he says, "Well, I think what y'all ought to do is y'all ought to just turn your eyes up to the top of your head and look and see what you see there." And so they all looked their eyes up to and they saw a stem. And then he said, "Now follow that." And so then they all followed the stem, and they saw it's actually just one plant with all these little pumpkins. And so in this great historic moment of pumpkin epiphany, they all started laughing and realized it was just one life living through all these appearances. They didn't have to argue. It was just, they were all one. And I think it's like that for us. We think we're all separate. It's like the fingers on my hand. If I'm trying to play the piano and this one's going, "Well, get out of my way. I'm more important than you are." I can't play the piano. It's the same with us. We are, each one of us, here to cooperate and to serve something higher. And it's our intuition, our inner guidance system that unfolds the unique gifts that we're here to bestow. Like Madeline, my wonderful wife I met in Switzerland. We've been married now 33 years. And I always say the smartest thing I ever did was marrying Madeline. And this is one of her ways. She makes beautiful art. And I think all of us have our unique gifts and talents and so forth that we can share. And when we do that, we naturally encourage others to do the same thing. So this is the basic idea. So the main point I want to emphasize is that the inner guidance system is what links us to our spirituality. Because when we get up in the morning and we're living our life every day, day after day after day, we are all being propelled by something, right? We're being propelled along to make choices, to do this and that and so forth. And what is it that is actually propelling us? What is providing the impetus and the guidance and the direction of our life? And for the most part, there's one of two things. It's either what usually is, I think in many ways, is the cultural program, right? We've all, as soon as we're born on this planet, we are each a little baby. We're like a sponge. We just soak it all in, and their food becomes my food, and their language becomes my language, and their attitudes become my attitudes, my parents, my teachers, my friends, neighbors, relatives, all the minister, not the unity minister, but all the other ministers, we take this all in. And so we become programmed, really. And we're taught that if we get this, we'll be happy. And if we get that, we'll be happy. And if we can just get this or change this, we'll be happy. We'll be happier, maybe. And so we're kind of propelled along on these yearnings and searchings and strivings and so forth. But there's another possibility, and that is to be guided by our intuition, by our inner guidance system, which is the eternal truth that we are. And that guidance, I think, understands in many ways that nothing outside of us can ever make us happy, quite honestly. We are already happy. If we really, have any of you experienced that when you really quiet your mind and you just feel a sense of joy? I think deep down inside of us, each one of us, there's a bubbling spring of joy that's always there. we just don't see it or feel it most of the time because our mind is wishing that we would have, or they could have, or I hadn't, or they wouldn't, or what am I going to, and this whole thing. So we're continually propelled along by this narrative in our minds. But if we can quiet our mind enough, we connect with something beautiful, I think, very joyful and our unique essence. And it doesn't mean that our life is always easy. We have challenges, but what's beautiful about it is that we're living authentically. We're living our life, not somebody else's, not the life that we were told we should be living. And when that happens, I think we feel a sense of joy, and we begin to come together to create communities that help to bring this teaching alive. And I think there's no greater gift in many ways we can give the world than to do this community, and to inspire and by our presence. So I'd like to say maybe just a couple of words, because I think, all of us have a story. If you came in through the door here, you have a whole story that brought you here. And it's a story, I'm sure, of questioning official narratives in our society that kind of drive us in many ways to less skillful ways of doing things. And so we're on the path of awakening these more skillful ways of living, more in alignment with the wisdom teachings of Christianity. And what in Palm Sunday, like was said in the Daily Word, the spirit riding the material, not being ridden by it. I'm from Concord, Massachusetts. I should maybe say that. Like, my story is, I was born and raised in Concord, Massachusetts. Emerson, I learned to swim in Walden Pond. I went to Thoreau School. I was born in Emerson Hospital, Alcott School. Emerson said, "Things are in the saddle and ride mankind." That's a good point. Very often we're sort of owned by our accumulations that we're protecting all the time. But being born in Concord and raised there, it was kind of a neat thing. It was a good foundation, I think, looking back at it, for unity, because there was two things that happened in Concord that were kind of noteworthy. One was the American Revolution. Does anyone remember the famous day and year of the midnight ride of Paul Revere? I know the whole poem, but anyway, this Paul Revere, we started the American Revolution in 1775. Hardly a man is now alive. Anyway, the whole thing was to stop the tyranny that we were living under without freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and so forth. And so on April 19th, which is Patriots Day there, we would all get up in the morning and we would all march to the Old North Bridge in Concord. My father would get dressed up in his Minuteman outfit, get the gun off the wall. We go down and we would celebrate the revolution and that we should try to create a system of equality and justice and freedom. And then, interestingly enough, about almost 100 years later, in the 1840s and 50s and 60s, there was another kind of philosophical, I don't know if it was a revolution, but an evolution maybe, called transcendentalism. I don't think you've heard of transcendentalism, but that movement was really based on the people I just mentioned, Thoreau, Emerson, Alcott, some other people that were really for the very first time enriching the very already rich spiritual tradition of the West with some non-Western ideas. They were the first ones to bring in the idea, for example, from the Taoist tradition of God as this infinite universal principle that we can learn to understand and harmonize with that. That's an important point. Or the idea from the Hindu tradition, which is the idea that God is equally female as male, to kind of bring that balance back in. Or the idea from the Buddhist tradition that God is an infinite and eternal mind. And that mind is actually, we are connected to that mind. We can merge our mind with the infinite mind. And these ideas kind of rippled out into the whole world, really, from Concord. And I've studied Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's teachings, and they were very much inspired by Emerson and the Transcendentalists, and bringing some of these wisdom teachings of healing, spiritual healing, also Christian Science and the spiritual healing traditions, all working together to help us to really live at a deeper level the teachings of Jesus, which are really universal spiritual teachings based on the golden rule, based on the idea that whatever we sow, we will reap, these ancient wisdom teachings. And so for me, I kind of didn't know much about that. But I remember when I went away to college in Maine in the early 1970s, I started to read them. And I got really excited. I thought, this is really good stuff. So I read, it led me to Walt Whitman's poems, and it led to actually meditating for the first time and all these other things. And I read a book that some of you may have heard of called Cosmic Consciousness, written by a guy named Richard Buck back in the 1890s, a Canadian doctor. But anyway, the book Cosmic Consciousness, the main idea was that most human beings live at what he called the level of self-consciousness. We care about ourself and maybe our family, but kind of this narrow sort of thing. But he said a few rare people, and he had examples. He said people like Jesus and the Buddha and some other great Christian saints and sages and mystics and poets and seers and so forth through the ages had attained what he called cosmic consciousness, which is basically escaping the prison of self-consciousness to a state of consciousness where we feel our oneness with the source of all life, and we live our lives basically to bless others, to be a source of kindness and caring, and we lose the petty fears that we have of whatever it is, and we just have a much broader view. And he said basically that it is the destiny of every human being to arrive at cosmic consciousness. That's really our purpose on this earth. It's like a school, and we're here to learn how to do that. So I remember going home at the breaks and talking to my mother and father and saying, Mom, Dad, we're here to attain cosmic consciousness. That's our purpose, right? And I remember my father saying, well, that college education is costing me quite a bit of money, and I'm not sure how that's going to help you get ahead in the world after all. And so we would have these discussions, and actually, it was good. I mean, he taught me to play the piano. My mother was an artist, watercolor artist. So of course I married one, but but the whole idea was they kind of understood it, but the thing was like, what are you going to do? But when I talked to my younger brother, Ed, and I said, Ed, look at this, cosmic consciousness. And to my delight, he said, yes, let's do it. Let's attain cosmic consciousness. That's what we should do. And I said, yeah, all right, let's do it. And my father had a whole chain of newspapers. I was destined to take the whole thing over. And I remember talking to them and saying, we're planning on attaining cosmic consciousness now. And he said, all right, so what are you going to do? And then we thought about it and we worked on it. And then we suddenly got a flash of intuitive insight. And we said, we know exactly what to do. There's one sure way to attain cosmic consciousness back in 1975. Anyway, and that was go to California. I wouldn't go there now, but back then it was pretty. So, but anyway, so we said, all right, we're going to, and my father, bless his heart, he said, all right, every man must march to the beat of the drum that he hears. He actually quoted Thoreau. So we walked down the driveway with some fresh baked cookies from my mother and headed out to walk to California all the way with no money, just walk and get to California. And so we basically had quite an adventure where we worked our way west as far as Buffalo. And when we got to Buffalo, it was getting really cold. It was October. And so I said, I can figure this out. We better head south. So we ended up walking about 15 to 20 miles every day down through upstate New York, all the way across Pennsylvania into West Virginia. In West Virginia, they said, boys, you're in the Bible Belt. And I didn't know what that meant being from New England, but I found out pretty quickly. And because we had no money, so we would just stayed very often on the floor of a church, spent the night and walk on, and we would help people if we could get a little something, and they would, whatever. We somehow didn't starve. And we worked our way all the way across West Virginia, which was quite a feat, actually, really hilly. And then we got into eastern Kentucky, Appalachia, and worked our way across there, and then down into Tennessee. And then we ended up at a place called The Farm. And The Farm in 1975 was a community south of Nashville. It was the largest hippie commune in the world at that point, and they were pretty much all from California. So we felt like we kind of met them in the middle. And that was a very interesting place. And we stayed there for probably a couple of months. And they were all vegetarians. So I actually have never eaten meat in my life since I was there. I said, all right, I'll do that. And we ended up walking farther south from there to a place in Alabama called, in Huntsville, a meditation center, a Zen meditation center. And that was really good because we could just meditate. We really wanted to meditate a lot. And we ended up doing that, and then eventually ended up getting out to I did get to San Francisco, and I was living in meditation centers there. And eventually I shaved my head and became a Zen Buddhist monk in South Korea doing a lot of meditation and taking like a long vows of silence and all these things, going deeper, and eventually decided to come back to the world, here to the West, and got my PhD at Berkeley and taught college courses for quite a few years, and ended up realizing that the unity movement, which I discovered along the way, is such a precious movement that I ended up leaving teaching college and moving into a 1971 Volkswagen bus and just traveling to Unity churches and giving talks and music and workshops on developing intuition. My PhD at Berkeley focused on educating intuition in adults, this inner guidance system. And so we've been doing this since 1990, I guess, or even a little earlier. And the whole thing I like to close with here is just the idea that the unity movement is really tremendously important. And it incorporates all of the essential teachings of all the wisdom traditions of the world, and especially of the Christian teachings of Jesus, in a way that's absolutely clear. And the founders of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, I feel, how many of you have been to Unity Village? Some of you have been there. It's like Mecca. Try to get there once in your life if you can. It's a beautiful place. The prayer light is always on there. They have 1,000 acres of beautiful wildlife habitat, but the purity of their vision, they awoke out of a lot of the delusion of separateness and were really healers in this healing ministry. And we become healers when we question the materialism of our society. Instead of seeing another being their outer appearance, we see the light that is their true nature, and we become healers ourselves. When we connect with that in ourselves, we can then see it in others. So that's why it's so important, these two things, to do the inner work where we're connecting with the inner wisdom that allows us to see our true nature, and then we do the outer work of creating a community together of people that are helping to bring this to the world. And I think there's no greater gift we can give than to do this. So I want to thank all of you for all of your efforts and for helping to bring this into fruition, and to see this beautiful building after 28 years, I guess. And to see that I heard from Brad, you're one of the only, and it's true, one of the only ones that didn't lose the building during COVID. I mean, really, we go all over Florida. Most of them had these gorgeous campuses, and now they're meeting in a strip mall somewhere. It's really important not to let these outer forces diminish the freedom of religion. Really, I mean, freedom of religion is fundamental right. Don't ever let anyone take it away. We have the right to gather, and it's really important to keep this alive. In the Buddhist tradition, I'll just close with this idea. There's a teaching of the three treasures, or the three jewels, which is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is the inner wisdom, like we would call it in the inner Christ, our eternal, infinite nature, the spiritual dimension. The Dharma is the teachings that help us to awaken the Christ nature, the Buddha nature. And the Sangha is the community of people who are interested in the teachings and would like to awaken and live a spiritual life. And the Buddha said something I think very interesting. He said, if there is no Sangha, there'll be no Buddha and no Dharma. So the community is really the foundation of everything. Having a community where the spiritual teachings are alive in a way that's accessible is so important in our time, because there are very powerful forces, I would say diabolical in a sense. I mean, very powerful forces that are trying to eliminate the wisdom traditions. They want to divide us. They want us to see ourselves just as matter. They want us afraid, all these things. So when we come together as a community, like we heard this morning, to celebrate the truth of the divine love that is our true nature, the source of all life, and celebrate the capacity we have to heal and to awaken and to bless the world and to be a radiating center of kindness and love and awareness in our own way and out into the whole community of Kerrville, the whole state of Texas, the whole planet. We are living our lifetime really well. And remember, our life is brief, really. I mean, no matter what we think, it goes by very quickly. And I remember actually reading this interview with the oldest living human being, a woman from Japan. She was 119 years old. And they said, you're 119. I think at the moment, you're the oldest living human being. What's it like? And she said, It goes by very quickly. So, it really does. It goes by so quickly. And so that from that point of view, we can just savor every day. That's all I can say. Just savor every day. Give thanks every morning. The first thought is just give thanks. We get another day to learn, to grow, to remember, to contribute, to work together, to cooperate, to shine our light, and to be part of the awakening here, because this is it. This is our chance. Each one of us has this unique opportunity. And when we fulfill that, we will have lived our life well. And that's nothing more we can do. But it's our inner guidance system is the greatest friend we can ever have. It's an ally that we can learn to trust and connect with to live our life. And when we do that, we have this feeling of joy. I remember, like when I was on that walk with my brother, we were walking down somewhere in some little hill or somewhere in West Virginia or Kentucky or wherever, and we had no reason to be happy, right? I had no money, no security. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. It was like, but I remember for the first time since I was maybe 6 months old, I felt really happy. I had these waves of joy just washing over me. And I think it's because I was living my life. I think all of us, if we're living our life, there'll be challenges and all that, but there's an underlying sense of, I'm grateful for this life. I'm happy. I'm filled with joy because this is my life. And so I want to thank all of you, because I know if you're here and you're still here after I said all this, you're on this path of questioning the official narratives and being, like Gandhi said, be the change we'd like to see in the world, to be the peace and freedom, joy and abundance and awareness. So bless you all. Thanks again. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Will. We appreciate all your information, and we're looking forward to this afternoon. Anybody here for the first time? Okay, 1, 2, great. 3 people. We love to have you here today, and we hope that you find a place that is like-minded people, a place where people come and belong. We always love to have our visitors. We teach spiritual tools that can help us no matter what's going on in your life. So I think you're going to be given a little welcome packet. If you would just fill out that little card in there, we can put you on our mailing list and on our email list, and you'll be getting some information from us. So welcome. Now is a top opportunity to support our spiritual cooperative. As we prepare our gifts, we recognize that giving is an act of love, faith, and spiritual connection that puts us in the flow of every good thing. Okay? Please bless what we're giving now and join us in our offering affirmation. Together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I send this forth with my blessings and my love.
As the baskets go around, I'll display a piece called Benediction of Light.
We open our hearts in gratitude as we release these donations. We send these gifts forward through our congregation and into the world, blessing all that it affects. Amen. Now I have a few announcements. We hope you're planning to stay for Dr. Tuttle's workshop opening the intuitive gates. And would you like to say something about that?
Great, thank you. Yeah, very briefly. So, Albert Schweitzer said the key to happiness is good health and a short memory. And I think that points to the idea that we can come into this present moment, deepen our connection, and with our inner wisdom. And so Madeline and I will be sharing some techniques of meditation and music and imagery, along with art and music, to help each one who's attending connect with your own unique way of accessing your intuition. So please join us if you can. And we'll be starting, I think we'll have a little break and then starting, is it say, okay, 1 o'clock. Yeah, it's about 2 hours. And that little saying I just said about Albert Schweitzer, I have to say, I heard that in 1998 from Eddie Edwards in Santa Barbara, and I never forgot it. So I just wanted to share it with you now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if you stay, we are going to have some refreshments for you, so don't go. You won't be going hungry. Okay. Also, at the very back of it, there's a table here with Dr. Tuttle's books, as well as tapes, and then all the artwork that Madeline has, or not all of them, but some of the artwork. So help yourself when we finish today. Next weekend is the Easter celebration Sunday. Reverend Karen Tudor will be here in person, and we'll be planning on an adult Easter egg hunt. What a wonderful concept. And you don't want to miss that. So an adult Easter egg hunt. So bring a friend. Our next orientation, new member orientation, will follow on April the 12th with Reverend Karen. Learn the ins and outs of the Unity movement and become an official member of our congregation in just one afternoon. So it used to be a 4-hour session. She's going to consolidate that because she'll be here in person. There's a list of announcements in the bulletin. So we could go on and on and on, but we're just going to hold it right there. Okay. So just look in your bulletin to see what's going on. All right, we were at the end of our gallery today. So please rise, circle up, hold hands. We're going to sing the peace song and end the gathering with the prayer of protection.
you.